Okay. Hey, Chase, Brianna, and it's 7:30, so I'm going to get started. So, the test I think is pretty simple. A lot of it's going to be scenarios. There's about, I think, 16 questions. The hardest part's going to be putting these in order. Um, and Jalen. Hi, Jalen. So the hardest part's going to be putting these in order. Um, and for me, I think it's easiest to do keywords. So let's go ahead and get started. So there's two types of cases, criminal and civil. So there's one test question right there. I'm going to ask you what are the two different types. There they are. Criminal, you're looking like somebody's being accused of a misdemeanor or a felony. We're trying to see if they're guilty or not guilty. Civil case is more like when you're suing someone, or what it's going to probably most likely say is the plaintiff files a complaint, meaning they're complaining about something, and they're seeking compensation in return, meaning most likely money. So you got to know the steps. I guess even before that, there's two different types of crimes. There's felony and there's misdemeanor. A felony is the more serious crime. It's going to be your murders, your arsons, things like that. Misdemeanors are your minor crimes, petty theft, jaywalking, traffic tickets, things like that. So, so then we get to this, and first step, arrested with probable cause. So the first step is you got to get arrested. You got to be found guilty of something. We're doing criminal in case you didn't notice. So you have to be arrested. After you've been arrested, you're going to go to arraignment. So arraignment is where they're going to review probable cause. Basically, they're going to put out, here's what happened. They're not really going to get into super details, but they're just going to say, here's what you're being charged with, and here's what kind of happened in the case, or what you're accused of. They're going to give you an attorney if you don't have one. So this is where you make sure you have your right to an attorney. And you're going to enter your plea saying, I believe I'm guilty or not guilty. If you say you're not guilty, even if you say you're guilty, you still have to have a hearing or a sentencing hearing, but let's just say you say not guilty. You then are faced with two choices. You can either go to jail and await your trial date, or you could be released on bail, jail or bail. I always forget who Butter Gamers is. I think it's Alicia. I think. So either you can sit in jail until your trial, or you'll pay an amount of money to be released from jail until your trial date. And that bail kind of works as like a monetary promise, saying like, I promise I show up, because if you don't show up, there goes all that bail money. Oh, what's up, Dylan? Sorry, buddy, I mixed them up. What's up, Brianna? Now this one's new that they added to the SOL this year. Or I should say they added to our standards. I don't think it'll be on the SOL this year, but we're going to go over it just in case. So in a felony case, they have a preliminary hearing. And again, probable cause is going to be reviewed, but this time there's going to be a grand jury. So this is where we have a jury of our peers, and they're going to basically, determine. There's no witness. You're not bringing in all the evidence that you ever have, but you're going to point out this is what I have. And the way you have to think of it is kind of like one last gut check. So let's say it's a misdemeanor, okay, and that you stole a candy bar. So when you steal a candy bar, it's pretty open and shut case. There might be video, there might be a witness, but maybe we're talking a day, maybe 2 days. Something, it's going to be a relatively quick trial, for stealing a candy bar. I'm doing that as a point. They probably wouldn't give you a trial for that, but I'm just trying to make my point. For a felony, like say a murder happened, they're going to bring out all sorts of witnesses. They're going to bring out DNA evidence. They're going to bring out video. They're going to bring out your history. They're going to bring out everybody who ever knew you, and so on and so on. That's a long, expensive process, and they want to make sure we have a grand jury convened to kind of say, all right, we're going to have a trial. There is enough evidence to support it, so we're going to go ahead with the trial. So that's only in the case of a felony. But anyways, this one will probably move beyond. But so far we've got arrested with probable cause, arraignment. Arraignment's where you review probable cause, have an attorney, enter your plea, jail or bail, Now we got to set the court date and have the actual trial. And at the end of the trial, if you're found guilty, then you can appeal it. If you're found not guilty, they could actually appeal it as well and take it up to the next level. That is the prosecution. So you have the verdict. So my shortened way: arrested with probable cause, arraignment, jail or bail, trial, verdict. Then we have the court procedures for civil cases. So civil is again going to be more like when you sue each other. So we've got the plaintiff who files a complaint against the defendant or defendants to recover damages / compensation. So this is, the complaint is just a fancy way of saying this is what you did and I didn't like it. And this is a fancy way of saying like this is what you owe me for whatever you did to me, or this is another way of saying like this is the money I'm going to get for all the aggravation you caused me. It's going to be heard by a judge or a jury, so depending on how much money is involved, it could be heard just by one judge if it's a small amount. It could be heard by a jury if it's a big enough case. The judge or the jury will issue a ruling. So for instance, if this was Judge Judy, the plaintiff would be the guy saying like, they didn't pay me my bill. And then the defendant would be going like, I don't owe you a bill. And Judge Judy, a judge, would hear the case. At the end, Judge Judy would give a ruling. And then if you didn't like Judge Judy's ruling, you could appeal it to the next higher level court, as we've discussed earlier in court structure. Felony case would be different. There might be a jury involved. The judge in that case would issue a ruling, and then you could appeal that one to the Court of Appeals if you didn't like it. Guys, that's really all there is to the test. What's going to happen, though, is there's going to be a lot of scenario questions. You are going to have to put these in order. So, like, in the future, you might get something like this. So here's a civil case. And yes, they're already in order over here. So Dave Foley breaks a tooth when eating a sandwich. When he looks in the sandwich, he finds that he'd bitten down on a large nail. Mr. Foley files a lawsuit against the restaurant to pay for the damage done to his tooth for the time he misses while at the dentist and while he's paying salary. So here's our plaintiff, which you're going to have to be able to identify. Okay, the restaurant would be the defendant. Step 2. So now he's at the actual trial because Mr. Foley is sued for $25. Case is tried in the Virginia Circuit Court because it's a large amount of money. Jury listens to the argument. This one happened to have a jury for both the plaintiff and the defendant. Now we get the ruling. Step 3. The jury rules in favor of Mr. Foley. The restaurant is ordered to pay him $25,000 in damages. The restaurant feels like that was unfair, so they appealed the ruling and they file for an appeal. And they say they have some evidence. The member of the jury is really Mr. Foley, but they didn't let them know beforehand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, let's look at a criminal one. So first step is going to be arrest. So let's see where the arrest happens. After a statewide manhunt, the police capture Doug Shields and arrest him. He is taken to jail. Now, all we know here is that the arrest, they don't really say the probable cause here, but we're going to assume there's probable cause. But we do see the word arrest. Number 2, 2 days later, Mr. Shields goes before a judge and probable cause is reviewed. The police explain the evidence they have against Mr. Shields. Mr. Shields pleads not guilty. And the judge tells Mr. Shields the date on which his trial was held. Now you see the date of his trial. They kind of added this with arraignment here. They typically do that, and the court date could be moved. That's why down there in step 5 you'll see the trial date. They don't mention the date again because it could be moved depending on all the pre-trial motions. But we didn't really get into that because no reason to really get you guys overloaded with that. Step 3 should be jail or bail. Mr. Shields' bail said $200,000. He puts his house up as collateral and goes home until his trial. So his bail was $200,000. He was able to get a bond, which we talked about today, as collateral because he put up his house as collateral, saying basically, if I don't show up to trial, he loses his house in this case. We have to put scenarios in order. I think for the most part we kept it to where you just have to put the steps in the right order. So at a hearing, this was determined to be a felony, as we see here. Found guilty. Let's get myself. They arrested him for murder, so that is a felony. So we're going to have the pre-trial hearing. The grand jury decides that there's enough evidence to take Mr. Shields' trial. He is found. He has a lawyer representing him at his trial. He's found guilty of murder since his life. He feels that he didn't like that, so he likes to appeal. Okay, so here they kind of skipped over and just did the verdict right here. So there was his trial, and then there's the verdict right there. Mr. Shields like to appeal. His lawyer told him there are no grounds for an appeal. Everything about his trial was done according to law and due process was followed. So, you guys are having fun with the smiley faces, I see. That's really it. Keep this video nice and short. Did anybody have any questions for me? I'll take a minute on the chat. I'll tell you what I'll do while you guys are here since you came here. So tomorrow, we're going to actually start this. I told you about the stock market challenge. Here's the website that I use, howthemarketworks.com. You are going to have to make an account. Make sure you know your password. I hate hearing that because if you don't remember password, you're not going to be able to get in. So I suggest making it something simple. You can tell it to me if you want. I'll leave that up to you. But you're going to make an account, and we're going to play the stock market game. Again, you have to do that. I'll create the contest tomorrow. If you want to start practicing, you can make an account tonight. And it is based off of real-life stocks. So this is the idea where if you get the most money in the stock market, this is where you're going to be playing for that $25 gift card to wherever you guys want. So, yeah, that's it, guys. I really don't, it's all there is to the test. It's really simple as long as you guys have been paying attention. You guys got anything else for me? And if your parents want to play, if they're watching, they're more than welcome to make their own account and they can join up in the contest too. They don't get to win the money though. I will only pay out if I lose to a kid, which unfortunately has happened, and I don't know how. But this is the site. Everything's free. There's no real money involved. All that stuff. My wife is fine. Thank you for asking, Bree. Alright, guys. No more social studies questions. I'm going to get out of here.